Welcome to Yeukai Business Show, UK's premier business show where we feature business thought leaders, high achievers, and industry experts. Today's episode is brought to you by World Outsourcing Solutions Limited, a company that specializes in helping executive business owners with virtual assistant services and business growth systems. Here's your host.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the show. It's Trevor Stockwell here with you today, along with my guest, who's a lawyer, an arbitrator, a mediator, a speaker, and also the author of the book, The Values String, which is a book on transitional life, compelling fulfillment, and profound peace. And amongst lots of other things, she's also an award-winning musician. So welcome to the show, Ukpeme Okon.
Greetings and many thanks.
You're welcome. You're welcome. How well did I do in pronouncing your name there?
You did well, and you deserve a round of applause.
Okay, cool. No, that's good. Yeah, I do try and get it right. So lovely. It's great to have the opportunity to chat with you today and to share with our audience. You have a wealth of expertise. We want to sort of focus on a few areas in particular. But before we dig in deeply, tell us a little bit about your background, because you've worked with the UN, lots of different organisations and that, but just share a little bit about your journey first, if you wouldn't mind.
Thank you. My name is Ukpeme Okon. I am a multifaceted person, but I am so glad that I have been able to use my areas of competence to positively impact humanity and the Earth system. So I'm the author of the book that you have mentioned, thank you, which is The Values String. And I'm also a lawyer, an arbitrator, mediator, speaker, and I'm ambassador for peace. Also a show presenter, a facilitator, and a musician known as Ukpeme, and so on. I was called to the Nigerian bar in the year 2004 as a solicitor and advocate of the Supreme Court of Nigeria. And if going by my experiences, I have discovered that I love peace. And so many of the things I do, my work, my endeavors, they are peace-centric and conflict resolution-centric, because one of my goals is to inspire people to be peaceful. And I want to contribute to a more peaceful, non-violent world. And so in everything I do, I love to spread the message of peace in my thoughts, my words, and my action. And this I do in so many areas and so many things that I do. And I really hope that I'm able to exude peace even as I'm speaking with you and as people are listening. So in a nutshell, that's who I am, and there's more to be discovered. Thank you.
Absolutely. Yes, we could go in lots of different ways just to cover different parts of your expertise. Maybe let's jump into the conflict resolution side of it, because I agree with you. You know, we could all do with more peace. The world, the planet could seriously do with some more peace. And we're all responsible to contributing towards making that happen, aren't we? So what would be some of the conflict resolution tips maybe, or strategies that you've implemented that would really help us to get people talking in the right way and not have so much kind of things left unresolved?
That's a valuable question. I would like to begin by saying that conflict is inevitable, but conflict should not be violent. Conflicts can also be constructive. They can provide opportunities for growth, and they can also be destructive. So because of our diversities, conflicts are bound to occur. But these conflicts can, provide, these opportunities for us to get to know each other, for us to get to know the things that we dislike and the things that we like, and for us to improve our relations with each other. And so when we talk about conflicts, even self-conflict, we can have, it's possible to have a conflict within oneself, and conflicts need not be violent. So when people hear about conflicts, people should not think about something that is violent. It could just be a disagreement. And there are ways that disagreements can be resolved. They can be resolved peacefully. I'd like to share 3 strategies among others that can help whenever we encounter conflicts. And with conflicts, there are so many types of conflicts, even in the family, in the workplace, in the community, in countries. There will always be, so far as there's interaction, there will always be conflict. So the first step that one can take is, if there's a conflict, try to be inclusive. Try to bring the people that are involved. So if you're having a conflict with someone, or if there's a conflict, because it's not just having a conflict, we can serve as a mediator. So we should also endeavor to, even if we are not involved in that conflict, but also we can see ourselves as instruments to resolve conflicts. And so being inclusive is very important. Don't exclude the people involved. Bring them together. Bring everyone together. Let's not just talk about inclusion, but it has to be participatory. So if people if there's conflict among or between people, bring them all together. Don't exclude anyone. And then the second tip is communication. That is really essential. And that's where we talk about dialogue. So we need to speak and hear both sides of the story, or other sides of the story. Give people opportunities to be heard. And so if there's a conflict and you bring people together, or you are involved in the conflict, try to have that channel of communication so that you can express yourself and also give other people the opportunity to express themselves and to be heard. So communication is very, very vital when we are talking about conflict resolution or peace building. And the third one is to assess the outcome of the process. And when we're talking about conflicts, even if we resolve the conflict today, let's see peace building and conflict resolution as a process, not just an event. So it doesn't just end that day. We have to assess the outcomes and then see how we can improve and prevent those things that caused the conflicts. So those are the 3. There are many other strategies, but I would like to reiterate that we need to be inclusive. We need to maintain communication, and we also need to assess the outcome of our conflict resolution processes. And I believe peace is possible, because sometimes when we think about what is transpiring in the world, or what is transpiring even within oneself, achieving peace can be dismal, but it's possible. And it starts from the individual. It starts from me, it starts from you, and it starts from us.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I like the inclusivity side of it. It's allowing people to have a different opinion to ourselves, isn't it, to start with, without thinking, well, that's obviously wrong if it's not what I think. You have to think bigger than that, don't you? You have to think, bigger picture. And also there's a certain level of humility about it, isn't it? Maybe I don't have the right response. Maybe I don't have the right perspective on whatever the issue at hand is. What would you say would be a good way for people? I'm kind of thinking some business owners where there's sort of discord within the team, one way or another, the team just won't talk to the owner of the business, or there's been some sort of animosity, nobody's talking to each other now. What would be a good way of bringing the parties at least to the point where they're starting to listen to the other person's point of view?
Thank you. I would suggest that in any establishment or in any organization that there should be like a department of conflict resolution. Just as we have various departments in institutions, there should be just a department dedicated to resolving conflicts, workplace conflicts, because of course there are a lot of conflicts that occur at the workplace. So there should be a department for that. And then we have maybe peer mediation, or we have mediators, or even staffers who volunteer to serve as mediators when conflicts occur between or among colleagues. And then the second suggestion would be third-party mediators. So if we have someone, maybe the establishment has a list of external mediators or people that can be engaged to resolve conflicts when they occur, then those individuals or professionals can be invited to the organization, because they are now neutrals. They are third-party neutrals. So because sometimes there are some conflicts that are really difficult to resolve, and especially when the parties or one party is recalcitrant. And such situations is always practical to bring to invite a third party or a neutral, someone who can resolve those the conflicts, in an unbiased way. So in such a situation at the workplace, maybe the establishment can have professionals like external mediators that can be brought in to resolve these conflicts, because these conflicts are bound to occur because we have people of different backgrounds coming together to work. And ethics, of course, in every organization, ethics and values need to be inculcated in the system of that organization, because when the people know that they are working towards a common goal and a common value, it will help to reduce likely conflicts. So these are some of the mechanisms that can work in any organization, because when these conflicts, the cost of conflict can be huge, and so the organization should, while spending money to resolve conflict. I'm not saying that, I'm not suggesting that money should not be spent to resolve conflicts, but if the amount of money spent on resolving conflicts can be used to grow the organization, that can save the organization some costs. So these are some of the areas that can assist an organization to handle workplace conflicts.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. And you were involved with that, aren't you? As in, you are a third party that can come into organizations. You help different organizations at least get talking initially, and then help them to sort of work through the things that are, for some reason, just not linking, not gelling as they should. So that's really good.
Indeed. Indeed.
As you're telling me that, I'm thinking more just how important the responsibility is on the leadership of the organizations, because what you want to avoid is, the business owner, the leader of the organization, bringing someone like yourself in as a third party to get your perspective and mediate between two parties, but with the view of, well, come in and help them see my point of view. It's like, it's not that at all, is it? It really is. Look, we're stuck here. This is my perspective. This is what they're saying. And then I guess you would have separate conversations with them and somehow find a way of at least bringing them back to the table, or bringing the dialogue back between them. What would be some of the triggers that would start the conflict in the first place? Because the reason why I ask that is more where we can prevent conflict getting to the point where, people are then not talking. There is, a silence, a distance, a disconnect, whatever. What would be some of the things we can be aware of, sort of within our teams, within our businesses, that we can kind of nip in the bud before we get to the point where, catastrophe happens?
Okay, yes, thank you. There are many triggers, there are many conflict triggers, but there are some basic things that we can improve on, and we can work upon to ensure that we prevent conflicts, even though conflicts are likely to occur. But there are things that we can do to prevent conflicts. For instance, having respect for others. When you respect people, respect their opinions. Tolerance, for instance, if you're tolerant of other people's points of views, and you're able to. Being tolerant doesn't mean that you have to adapt someone else's belief or someone else's policies. So when one is tolerant of divergent views, without being too critical, or without being too just attacking someone for thinking differently, or attacking someone for doing things differently. So when one is tolerant of another person, it's very important. Just be tolerance. You're at a workplace, you're somewhere else, and someone is different from you. Someone believes in something different from you. Just that respect for the person. Human rights, accord the person the inherent rights that he or she has. Just being a valuable person, someone that has an optimum, or that just believes in the superiority of of the human being. That respect that this other person has the rights, such as you do, can help, because so many conflicts, even when we have tribal conflicts, religious conflicts, sometimes it's just because of divergent views and not being tolerant. And another thing is not giving people the opportunity to speak or to be heard, because a lot of times people just believe that their opinions are superior, their opinions are the best, and so they don't want to listen. So listening is a very key principle, is a very key value to imbibe to prevent conflict. Because when you're able to listen to someone, when you're able to hear, not just hearing with your ears, but you listen to what the other person has to say. That is very, very crucial, because when you listen, you're able to entertain the person's views. So respect, tolerance, those two are very important, and also self-control or anger management, because often we realize that, when one cannot control one's anger, because anger management can also result in violence. If it can escalate to violence if not controlled. So if there is anger, for instance, and one is not patient enough, patience is also another value, and we're not patient enough to hear other people, to give them the opportunity to express themselves. So that can lead to anger, because one feels he or she is right. And then that anger can now lead to a kind of conflict. And from that conflict, it escalates. So it's important to respect others. It's important to be tolerant of divergent views. And it's important to exercise or to manage one's anger, so that it doesn't escalate to something that is devastating.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it comes back to leading ourselves well, doesn't it, as leaders primarily. I think the smartest leaders bring people around them in their teams that have opposite views or diverse views. I think the more diverse the team is, the more opportunity for creativity. As you say, you have to manage that in a way that, leaders still lead at the end of the day. But for example, I already know what I know. So if I just tell everyone what I know, I'm not learning anything. If I ask how you see things, what are your ideas about this? What am I missing? What am I not seeing that you could see? Maybe all of those kind of questions help to foster the interaction to start with, builds a healthy team, doesn't it? But it also helps to avoid the conflict, not just because of differences of opinion, but like you say, it's like there's a respect for the individual, for who they are, for what they can bring to the team as well. And yeah, it does take humility that, hey, maybe I'm not, the one with all the answers. I think the best leaders don't have all the answers, but they bring people around them that help them to progress in the areas that they need to. So yeah, no, that's really useful. I think we can all learn from what you said there, really.
Thank you.
Business owners, particularly, because we are generally more influential in the things that we communicate, the people that we interact with, the responsibility is on us more, isn't it? To maybe people listening haven't really thought about, I actually have a certain responsibility to bring peace into different environments. Maybe just if your team is working well together and you feel that you're fine, that's good. But then the next step is, how can we influence other organizations, our clients, our suppliers, the people that we interact with? How can we bring a peace to them, isn't it? It's just thinking maybe outside the box of, this is what we do, and listen to your perspective on the fact that, we have the opportunity of making the world more peaceful all round. Because, there's benefits from business perspective. There are benefits if we do that, aren't there? You help individuals, clients as well, leverage their networks better, don't you, through peaceful activities as well. Tell us a little bit more about that. What would be the benefit for a business to promote peace? I'll put it that way.
Yes, that's a good question, and I'll state that peace is necessary for development, personal development, community development, national development and even global development. And if the environment is not peaceful, it's not going to be conducive for anybody to thrive, for any business to thrive. So you can imagine if there's conflict of this, there's violence in a particular environment, and can someone comfortably situate his or her business there? No, I don't think anyone would like to be in a conflict environment, or to have your office in a place that is is in constant conflict, because it will affect your business. Your customers will want to go there, and you can't really progress as an entrepreneur or as whatever it is that you are, because there is conflict in that environment. So peace is essential, is really essential for development and for us to thrive. So the way that we can do it, as I had mentioned earlier, is to be a peaceful person, because it's possible to give what you have. And so when you're a peaceful person, there's a way you just exude peace, and it starts from your immediate environment, it starts from yourself and the people around you, your family. So you can imagine if you're a peaceful person and then you're in a family and you're being peaceful, you're teaching them peace, they're learning peace, everyone is practicing peace. The people in the family would extend that peace to the neighborhood. And that's how it's like a ripple effect to the neighborhood, and from the neighborhood, the world. So we now find out that peace spreads, and we now have a more peaceful world. So it's not such a difficult thing as some people might think when they say, oh, peace is not possible. It is possible indeed, and I believe it. And so for business owners, whoever you might be, children, adults, business owners, students, whatever you are, we have the responsibility to be peaceful and teach peace. For those of us who are in this work, in this peace work and conflict resolution work, we need to teach, whether voluntarily or maybe being engaged by anyone, but we need to teach, not just talk about it, because we have to work towards it. So we need to be peaceful, because if you're not peaceful, and no matter how much you talk about peace, if you're not peaceful, the action matters. So how are you going to exude peace? How will your business be peaceful when it's just an arena of quarreling, of fighting, discord? So we need to be peaceful. We need to teach. We need to teach peace, and we need to act, not just teaching. So when we act, the peace that we so desire can be possible. So the responsibility is on us, is on me, and is on us to ensure that we can develop, if we are peaceful and if our environment is peaceful.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, definitely. And you're very involved, mentoring and connected with lots of different organizations that all promote peace in lots of different areas, don't you? Maybe let's not try and mention them all now because of time. Yeah. Was that a conscious decision of, yes, I want to get involved with certain organizations, or was that more part of, how your journey unfolded? You then met different people and then got involved?
Yes, indeed. I would say they're conscious, and also they're conscious because I knew that these are things that these are organizations whose goals and objectives align with my beliefs, align with the kind of things I like. And once I'm motivated about something, the passion is there. So because I identify these individuals and I identify the organizations as peace-centric, they are doing the kind of things I like to do. So naturally, I just made the conscious effort to engage with them, to do the things that they're doing, join in their campaigns, anything, because their values aligned with mine, my peace building values. Those were the conscious efforts I made, to identify with these activities. But I also want to believe that because of my inherent peace, my inherent love or passion for peace, I'm also divinely attracted, to things that are peace focused. So even when I make conscious efforts, I now discover that I am just propelled towards these things. I discover that I'm connected with an event is peace team. I'm connected with something that or somebody, or I'm connected with a cause. So I didn't make any conscious effort, but I just discovered that I was, just, directed. I was just directed towards those things. So yes, I made a conscious effort. And one thing, zeal is very important, because if you have the zeal for it, you will have the power to execute whatever it is you do. So my zeal for peace has really helped me in this journey, and that's why a lot of things I'm involved in are just peace centered, and I look forward to continue to discover more peace focused individuals and organizations, and so that together we can make the world a more peaceful, non-violent place.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a really good point you mentioned there, that like once you've identified your core values and your passions, you then draw people, don't you? You draw organizations, influences to you, as well as having that element where you have to be proactive to link with the right people to start with. But then the momentum starts, doesn't it? And it just keeps going. So that's really good. Maybe before we wrap up today, tell us a little bit about your book. So the values string, what's on the string?
Okay, thank you. The value string, a book on transitional life, compelling fulfillment and profound peace, by Ukpeme Okon, is a unique creative motivational book. So the book establishes the nexus among transformation, resilience, hope, fulfillment, and peace. And it also highlights mental health issues, refraining from stigmatization of persons and encouraging persons to seek help. It's really essential. People have to be encouraged to explore support systems. So ask for help when you need it. So these are some of the things that I highlighted in the book. And the author's creativity, my creativity, is showcased through self-composed songs. And I would like to say here that even from a young age, I've been so fascinated about lyrics. I wrote songs as a child. I even had notes, instructional notes I wrote as a child, and I still have those writings, what I wrote as a child. So even in my book, I have this, I showcase some self-composed songs which align with some sections in the book. So this valuable book also introduces a self-mastery and betterment method, which I created, which is called the Values String. And the readers of the Values String are certain to understand how mindfulness can foster transformation, fulfillment, and peace.
Wow.
Thank you.
Okay, that sounds really good. Yeah. Maybe for people that are looking to, they're listening to you now and thinking, yeah, I definitely need more input in this area in my life. So is the first step then they would buy the book, read through the book? Is it practical exercises they can work through themselves, or is it better that whilst reading that they have a conversation with you and to see how you can help them develop by coaching, mentoring, however, how would it play out? What would be the best way that people can get helped?
Indeed, it can play out in those both ways and other ways, because they can also I like dramatization, and these are things that if they seek, I even like that connection with readers, for them to be able to speak with me, for them to be able to even see me and discuss what it is about the book that they need more clarity on, or what it is about the book that they feel has inspired them. So yes, I really welcome, and I'll really be so thankful for that opportunity for readers to be able to connect with me by speaking with me or contacting me about areas, things about the book that they have read or they seek more explanation on, and also reading too. Those who would prefer to read and understand and also practice some of the suggestions I made in that book, that's also perfect. That's also a good way to engage with me. And of course, there are other ways too. I could also, like a podcast show I'm planning to to present about peace. I also look forward to, talking about some sections on the book and to address the situations that we encounter, in life. So that's why I said those two are many more. So there are so many areas because creativity, I'm a creative person and I don't like to,
Yes,
I don't like
definitely.
to, put everything in one box. There's so many ways I can think about how to, reach out to people, how to inspire the world to achieve this compelling fulfillment and profound peace. So those, I'm really welcome to readers and even listeners contacting me on how my book inspires them. Thank you.
No, that sounds good. So where would people touch base with you? What sort of, you got a website, you're on social media, what sort of are the areas where people can follow what you're doing?
Yeah, thank you. Indeed, I can be found via the internet, and my website is www.thevaluesstring, and that's the name of the book. That's TheValuesString.com. That's my website, and I'm also visible across social media channels. On Facebook, I can be found. The Value String. That's my Facebook.
Okay. Yeah.
The channel on Facebook and also Instagram and elsewhere. Where else? Twitter. Yes.
Okay.
And not just my book. I can be found as my music. My music name is Ukpeme. That is Ukpeme. So anyone that just goes to any of these social media sites and just types in my name, they can find me there. But my website is my primary means of contact.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds good. There'll be links for people listening, as you know, with other episodes. There'll be links below that will help get through to that. But yeah, certain business people have certain platforms that they're preferred to use. So yeah, it's good to know you're on Twitter, Instagram, and you've got your website as well. I guess maybe the first instance is head to the website, check out the book more, and then there'll be links through there as well, won't there? So no, that's all really good. Before we must wrap up very quickly, but before we do, I just wanted to ask you one other question about, you mentioned sort of in the early days when you were planning events, you dug into resourcefulness within yourself. Maybe just in very briefly, can you share something around being resourceful?
All right. Yes, thank you. And I'll just give an example. I am the convener of the Peace Agenda, and the Peace Agenda is a platform for strategizing sustainable agenda and action for peace. And I'm also the organizer of the Peace Agenda Summit, which comprises 17 speakers presenting strategies for achieving both personal and world peace. So when I was planning that summit, I've had two editions of the summit. So when I was planning the summit initially, I sought sponsors and people to come in, just sponsors for that summit, to host the summit. Financial sponsors, I did not get them. I didn't get any response. But because I was so passionate about the summit, I had a vision for this summit, and I continued. And that's why I say that even with limited finances, and even with no resource, you can still achieve greatness. You can still achieve what you want, because finances are not the only kind of resource. You as a human being, you are a resource. There are so many ways that you can achieve what you want to do, even when you don't receive the funds that you seek. And so at that time, I didn't get any financial sponsorship, but I just got on my toes and decided to get this summit going. And I sponsored myself. Okay, I paid for the platform. I know that if I had sponsors, maybe it would have been a larger audience, but I still did what I did, and the summit was very successful. And you know what? That summit gave me a visibility that has invited me to give a presentation at the United Nations in Bangkok, in Thailand.
Yeah.
So if I was waiting for people to come in, sponsors, yes, I did have sponsors, but eventually they were just maybe sponsors that gave free resources to participants, but they were not financial sponsors. Okay, so I did not wait until I got that, sponsorship I needed. I just continued, and that has also helped. It even helped one of the participants at one of the speakers also was invited to the UN to make a presentation. So you can imagine, if I was allowing limitations to limit me, I wouldn't have achieved that. So I encourage people to believe that you can achieve something even when you don't receive the kind of resource or assistance that you need at a particular time to execute a particular project. It is possible, and you can do it. You can access resources. You can even get people who can assist you. Just continue with your dream and with your zeal, and be focused and be determined, and you can achieve.
That's really good. Yes, very inspirational way to wrap it up. Yeah, it really is the do what we can, isn't it? Be creative, think outside the box. Don't let things that maybe aren't going our way stop us. Just if you're passionate about it and you believe in it, go for it, and then other people will then bring and support eventually. But yeah, it's having that conviction that even if they don't, I'm still going to do it anyway, isn't it? That's
indeed.
So well done. Thank you for sharing, Ukpeme. You're a remarkable lady and an inspiration that we should all listen to. We should work for peace in our different worlds and our spheres of influence as well. Thank you for your time in sharing with us. It's been very inspirational, so appreciate that.
Thank you for your kind words. I'm delighted and I'm grateful for this opportunity, and I wish you profound peace.
Thank you. Absolutely, I receive that. Yes, and for everybody listening as well, let's think outside the box when it comes to peace. Let's be peacemakers in different ways. Maybe whatever scenario you're in that could do with a good dose of peace, maybe you're the catalyst that can actually make it happen, bring resolution where there's conflict. However that works for you, I'll let you work that one out. Definitely have a look at the Value String website, get a hold of a copy of the book. I think it will be really helpful to you and inspirational as well. Wherever you are on the journey, I'm sure something that Ukpeme does and offers can help. So definitely check that out. That's everything we've got time for today. Thanks for joining us, and we will catch you next time. Bye for now.
Thank you for listening to Yeukai Business Show. We will be back to bring you more episodes with success stories and advice straight from the experts. Want more? Check out www.yukaibusinessshow.com. Get your free trial of our virtual assistant service today. Just visit www.worldoutsourcingsolutions.com. Quote WOS18 or send us an email at support@worldoutsourcingsolutions.com.